Hey foodie friends, today we are talking about scallops. They're one of my favorites, and can you believe I didn't eat them until I was an adult? I know, that's crazy. So scallops are actually a mollusk, and you don't see them in the store like this, but they come in a shell, almost like a clam shell. They're sold like this. They're fleshy, a little bit rosy, a little bit beige, and after they're cooked, they should be velvety and tender. You should be able to take a fork and just go like this. If not, they're overcooked. Talk a little bit more about the types. We have two different types that we usually get. Sea scallops, which are larger, and bay scallops, which are smaller. Sea scallops, the bigger of the two, which are the more expensive of the two, are usually in colder water and lower to the ground of the ocean, so they're much harder to harvest. If you see one called a diver scallop, it simply just means that it was actually hand harvested by a diver personally, and those are usually the most expensive. Also the larger ones known as U10s and above. You can also get bay scallops. They're these little ones. These are great for dips, putting into casseroles, seafood casseroles, salads, things along those lines. They're much cheaper and they're called bay scallops because they're usually harvested in warmer water in the bay. They're much easier to find and you can literally just hand pick them up off the floor. So when you're shopping for them, I always recommend looking for a dry scallop. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that I want you to have a dry scallop. It means that it hasn't been packed in water. Any kind of meat or seafood that's packed in water, just simple osmosis like brining, is going to suck up all of that water. And when you cook it, all that water is going to expel back out again. Have you ever bought a scallop that started out as this ginormous thing and then when you seared it, it was all shriveled up and like half the size? It was because it was packed in water. Dry scallops are not packed in water. They're still fresh, they're still moist, but they aren't going to lose their volume when you cook them. You want ones that are a little bit shiny and you want them to smell like the sea, but not smell fishy. I mean, it's seafood, it's going to smell a little bit like the sea, but not fishy. You also want them to be rosy and pink in color. I don't know if you can see this orange one here. This one I found, I had to look hard for it at the store. This is not the color you want. They should have thrown this one away. They shouldn't have even had it on display. If you get larger sea scallops, they also usually have this little muscle on the side. This little muscle on the side can easily be torn off and it's really chewy if it's left on and you eat it. So make sure you take that off ahead of time. A really good store will have these already removed for you so that you aren't paying per pound for the muscle that you now have to remove. It's also important when they're packed in water because now you're paying for the water that the scallop is packed in. So dry packed scallops might be more expensive or seem more expensive. They're actually better on the budget because you're not paying for all of the extra water that's in them. The best way to cook scallops: high heat for a really short amount of time. So either on the grill, in the broiler, or in a pan. People overcook them all too often because they're so scared of seafood. But then you're gonna end up with a scallop that is dry, and that's just nobody's favorite. Nobody wants that. See my tips for pan frying scallops. We also have a great version of bacon wrapped scallops on the blog, savoryexperiments.com. From my kitchen to yours, have a great day and enjoy your scallops.